Welcome to the Vermont PBIS First Steps to Implementation online module series. This is Module 2, Part 2. In this module, your team is going to be working on creating the 3 to 5 overarching behavioral expectations for your school. As you can see, creating your expectations is the second component of the 6 components in your school-wide implementation plan at the universal level. Your team has already worked on the statement of purpose so that everyone in the school will know what it is you're doing to try to create that positive school environment. The achievement-based objective for Module 2, Part 2 is to plan how you will determine your 3 to 5 behavior expectations. This module provides an example of what not to do, guidelines, examples from other PBIS schools, and some suggested guidance to inform your process. You can find a place to write this plan in your Universal Staff Handbook. Now's your chance to work on your 3 to 5 briefly stated overarching expectations for the entire school. We're trying to move away from what Mrs. Munter likes to do on the first day of school, where she has this long list of negatively stated behaviors that she doesn't want to see her class demonstrate in her classroom. As you can see, the students are interested and might even get some good ideas. In PBIS, we're moving away from negatively stated long lists of behaviors that we don't want to see and moving into having 3 to 5 overarching guiding expectations for the whole school of behaviors that we do want to see and engaging students in the process. This helps schools co-create an identity around social expectations so that everyone knows generally what is expected. Here are some guidelines. We recommend that you have no more than 3 to 5 in number. Your team should be thinking about how to be really succinct in creating the expectations for your school. An example would be respect yourself, respect others, respect this place. Those are succinct, briefly stated, and if you think about them, you can be able to define those behavior expectations in the different environments so that they don't overlap. You're going to want to be thinking about how to post these expectations in beautiful visuals around the school. You can add your school mascot or logo so that it really makes those words pop out in all environments of the school. You will want to have them in your hallways, in the cafeteria, on the side of the building, and in each classroom. Your team's work will be to come up with 3 to 5 behavioral expectations and then figure out how you want to post them visually throughout your school. Here's a very simple example of expectations. Respect yourself, respect others, and respect this school. It's a large, nice, colorful sign placed where people can see it. It's at eye level for the students. This is a school that's located on Lake Champlain, and their mascot is Champ. So they've incorporated their school's mascot into the behavioral expectations for everyone to see. This is another school that has expectations to be safe, respectful, and responsible. These are expectations that are common among many PBIS schools. This is also a school that has Champ as its mascot, and in this one, Champ is actually telling the students what the expectations are. It's, again, a colorful visual for others to see. Here's an example of the expectations in a school where students speak both English and Spanish. These are expectations that are posted in an art room, and it's a really nice visual display of how they would look in different settings in your school, so you can get creative with how you post them. Here is a picture of a team that just finished completing a visual of their behavioral expectations, and they'll be displaying that in their school. They had some fun doing it and created a song to help teach others what the behavioral expectations are in their school. The achievement-based objective for Module 2, Part 2 is to plan how you will determine your 3 to 5 behavioral expectations. You can find a place to write this plan in your Universal Staff Handbook. How can you engage the school in creating and deciding school-wide expectations with teachers, students, cafeteria and maintenance staff, front office staff, and others? One suggestion is to use a restorative approach. A restorative approach is based in principles of voluntary participation, exploring relationships, meaningful engagement, and participatory decision making. When we engage students at any age in decision making regarding school culture and climate, they feel a greater sense of belonging, connection, and ownership. Kids and adults spend more waking time in schools than anywhere else in their lives. Let's try to engage everyone in determining expectations around how everyone will be together. Expectations that students co create are more likely to be understood and embraced than expectations that feel imposed. The following guidance is designed to guide school teams to co create expectations with students. Here's a suggestion that could be done during morning meeting or advisory. Create time and space during the school day to ask students to share a value or a characteristic such as respect, honesty, or kindness that describes them when they are at their best. Or ask students to share a value or characteristic that describes how they want to be treated in school. Adapt the language so that it is developmentally and culturally appropriate. For younger students, you might ask students to bring in a stuffed animal and ask them to tell us something that they can do for their animal friend that would help him or her feel safe and happy at school. Collect and showcase these values and characteristics. One method is to use presentation software such as Poll Everywhere or Mentimeter. Each classroom teacher could submit responses online to create a school-wide Wordle of values in real time. The values that get named the most appear larger in the Wordle. Next, review the values and characteristics that rise to the top, and then ask students, what agreements do you need from yourself or others in order to be your best self at school? Use the same process, such as Mentimeter or Poll Everywhere, to show the agreements from different classes in the school. Then, later that day or within the same week, convene your leadership team with several volunteer students, maybe two per grade. Review the responses and categorize or theme them. Identify 3 to 5 expectations the team would like to propose to the school. Use the criteria on the following slide. Consider asking this expanded team, are there any of these expectations that you're not willing to try and keep? Then, within a week of the values and characteristics activity, showcase the expectations the leadership team came up with in the different classes. Consider asking students, what do you like? What is not clear? Is there anything missing? Then take a moment to debrief the whole process. In components 3 and 4, you'll develop procedures for teaching expected behaviors and procedures for encouraging expected behavior. Create opportunities for students and others to describe what the school-wide expectations actually look and feel like in different areas of the school: classrooms, hallways, cafeteria, gym, front office. You'll want to check in regularly, maybe monthly, regarding how well everyone thinks the school, classroom, or other groups are doing with the expectations. Allow students to grade the group. What grade would you give our class on honoring or following our expectations? Why did you choose that grade? So now your activity is to come up with your plan for how you will determine your 3 to 5 behavior expectations. You can find a place to write this plan in your Universal Staff Handbook. Once you're finished, you can move on to Module 3.